How do you prove your worth when cancer has stripped away everything you used to be? When the body that once made you a champion now makes strangers look away in pity or disgust? I was about to find out if the fighter inside me had survived or if the disease had killed more than just my cells. The parking lot of Iron Temple Gym was full of pickup trucks and muscle cars, the kind of vehicles that made statements about the men who drove them. I sat in my beat-up Honda Civic for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, watching through the floor-to-ceiling windows as giants moved weights that looked like they belonged in a construction yard rather than a gym. My hands were shaking. They've been shaking a lot lately. The doctors said it was a side effect that would fade. The doctors said a lot of things. When I finally forced myself out of the car, the afternoon sun felt too bright, too hot on my skin. Everything felt too intense these days. 6 months ago, I'd been lying in a hospital bed, wondering if I'd ever walk again, let alone live. Now here I was about to walk into the most hardcore gym in the city, weighing 147 pounds soaking wet. Before the diagnosis, I'd walked around at 215, every pound of it earned through years of brutal training and discipline. The front entrance had a heavy metal door with the gym's logo, a barbell crossed with lightning bolts. Very subtle. I pulled it open and immediately hit a wall of sound. Metal plates clanging, hip-hop blasting from speakers, men grunting and yelling through heavy sets. The smell was pure gym, rubber mats, chalk dust, and sweat. So much sweat. The guy at the front desk was maybe 22, 23, with arms that suggested he lived here. His name tag said Tyler. He looked up from his phone, and I watched his expression shift from neutral to uncomfortable in about half a second. His eyes did that thing people's eyes have been doing since I'd lost the weight. A quick scan from head to toe, trying to figure out what was wrong with me without being too obvious about it. Hey man, can I help you? His voice was careful, the way you talk to someone you thought might be fragile. I'm here to train. I signed up online. Daniel Morrison. Tyler clicked around on his computer, frowning. Yeah, okay, I see you here. It's just. He leaned forward and lowered his voice, glancing over his shoulder toward the main gym floor. Listen, man, the owner doesn't like skinny guys training here. He's got this whole philosophy about the gym's image, you know? Maybe try somewhere else. I can refund your membership, no problem. The old me would have walked out. The old me had options, had pride, had the luxury of choosing battles. The new me had already spent 2 hours psyching myself up just to get here. The new me had something to prove, though I wasn't entirely sure to whom. I already paid online for the month, I said, keeping my voice steady. Non-refundable according to your terms of service. Tyler's face scrunched up like he'd bitten into something sour. He shook his head slowly, deliberately, like I just signed my own death sentence. Your funeral, bro, locker room's through there. You'll need to bring your own lock. I brought my own lock. I brought my old training log too, the one with all my numbers from before. Stupid, probably, carrying around a record of what I used to be. But some nights I'd flip through it just to remind myself that I hadn't imagined it all. The competitions, the records, the respect. The locker room was empty, which was a relief. I changed into my old training gear, shorts, and a tank top that used to fit snugly, but now hung off me like a scarecrow's clothes. In the mirror, I looked like a different species from the men I'd seen through the windows. My collarbones jutted out sharply. My shoulders, once thick with muscle, looked like coat hangers. The worst part was my face, gaunt, with dark circles under my eyes that no amount of sleep seemed to fix. But I was here. That counted for something. I pushed through the door onto the main gym floor, and the noise somehow got louder. This place was serious. No machines, except for a couple of cable stations in the corner. Everything else was free weights, squat racks, deadlift platforms, and benches. The walls were covered with photos of powerlifters and strongmen, most of them looking like they could flip cars for fun. And then I saw Marcus. He was impossible to miss. 6'4", probably 280, maybe 290, with arms like tree trunks and a chest that strained against his Iron Temple tank top. He was doing bicep curls with dumbbells that had 75 stamped on the sides, curling them with perfect form while having a conversation with another massive guy beside him. His skin glistened with sweat, and his face had that look of intense concentration that serious lifters get when they're chasing a pump. This was Marcus Chun, the owner. I'd done my research. Former collegiate football player who'd gotten into powerlifting after blowing out his knee. He'd built Iron Temple from nothing 5 years ago, and it had become the place where the city's strongest men came to train. His social media was full of videos of him lifting absurd weights and motivational speeches about weakness being a choice. I grabbed a spot at one of the squat racks in the corner, trying to be invisible. The bar was already loaded with 3 plates per side, 315 pounds, from whoever had used it last. I started stripping the weights off, and even that felt harder than it should have. My grip strength strength was garbage now. Everything was garbage now. When I finally had the bar empty, just 45 pounds, I stepped under it and felt the familiar pressure across my shoulders. This used to be nothing. This used to be what I'd use to stretch before even thinking about real weight. Now it felt heavy enough to matter. I took a deep breath and stepped back, setting my feet. The mechanics came back automatically. Knees out, chest up, core tight. Some things the body doesn't forget. I descended slowly, feeling every muscle fire, and came back up. One rep, just one rep with an empty bar, and my legs were already talking to me. Yo, check this out. The voice came from my left. It was the guy who'd been training with Marcus. Tall, built like a linebacker, with a shaved head and a smirk that suggested he found most things amusing. His name was Jake. I'd seen him in Marcus's videos. He had his phone out and was filming me, not even trying to be subtle about it. Look at this guy treating 45 pounds like it's a max attempt, Jake said, loud enough that people at the nearby benches turned to look. Man's over here, breathing heavy from the bar. The empty bar. My face went hot. A few people laughed. I tried to ignore it, try to focus on my second rep, but I could feel eyes on me now. The new guy, the skinny guy, the guy who didn't belong. I did 5 reps with the empty bar, then racked it and stood there for a moment, trying to decide if I should add weight or just leave. Every instinct screamed at me to walk out, to save whatever dignity I had left. But I'd driven 40 minutes to get here. I'd paid for a month, and somewhere deep down, buried under all the fear and shame, there was still a part of me that remembered what it felt like to be strong. I loaded one plate on each side, 135 pounds. Before cancer, this was a joke weight, something I'd rep out for 20 just to get blood flowing. Now it felt like a challenge. I could see Marcus in the mirror now, still doing his curls, but his eyes were on me, watching, evaluating. I try not to think about it as I stepped under the bar again. The weight felt real this time, substantial. I took my time setting up, making sure everything was tight, then descended. The weight pressed down on me, and for a horrible second, I thought my legs might give out. But they held. I pushed through, fighting gravity, and stood up. One rep. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Heavy footsteps. Marcus walked over and stood directly behind me. Close enough that I could feel his presence like a physical weight. Close enough that I could smell his cologne mixed with sweat. Close enough that when he spoke, I could feel his breath on the back of my neck. "Little man," he said, his voice deep and carrying across the gym floor. "This is a serious gym for serious lifters. Planet Fitness is 2 blocks down. They got pizza Fridays. Might be more your speed." People were definitely watching now. The whole gym seemed to have gone quieter, everyone tuning in to see what happened next. I didn't respond. Couldn't respond. My throat had closed up, and my heart was hammering so hard I thought it might crack a rib. Marcus reached out and poked my exposed spine through my tank top, his finger jabbing between my shoulder blades. "I can count every bone in his back," he announced to the gym. "Boy's built like a xylophone. Somebody play a tune on him." The poke threw me off balance. I stumbled forward, nearly losing control of the bar, and had to fight to get it back to the rack. The clang of metal on metal seemed impossibly loud. My face was burning now, hot with humiliation and rage, and something else, something that felt like grief. People were laughing. Not everyone, but enough. Jake was definitely filming, probably already planning which social media platform to post it on first. I stood there with my hands still on the bar, my whole body shaking. This was it. This was the moment where I could leave, where I could accept that maybe I wasn't ready, that maybe the old Daniel Morrison was gone forever, and this new version wasn't strong enough to take up space in a place like this. But then I thought about the hospital. I thought about the chemo that had felt like poison burning through my veins. I thought about the nights I'd spent so weak I couldn't even get out of bed to use the bathroom. I thought about the doctors who told me I might never lift again, that I should be grateful just to survive. I'd survived, and I hadn't survived just to be humiliated by some gym bro who thought strength was only measured in pounds on a bar. I turned around slowly, looking up at Marcus. He was even bigger up close, his arms crossed over his chest, a slight smile on his face like this was all very entertaining. "I'm not leaving," I said quietly. Marcus's eyebrows went up. "What was that?" I said, "I'm not leaving." Louder this time. "I paid for a month. I'm going to train." For a long moment, Marcus just stared at me. Then he laughed. Not a mean laugh exactly, but not friendly either. More like he was surprised that the mouse had squeaked back at the cat. "You got some balls, I'll give you that," Marcus said. "But balls don't move weight. You know what this gym is about? Strength. Real strength. Not whatever CrossFit nonsense you're probably used to." "I'm a power lifter," I said. Or I was. That got his attention. His eyes narrowed slightly. "A power lifter? You." I held records in the 183 and 198 pound classes. Squatted 800, benched 515. Deadlifted 750. The gym had gone completely quiet now. Jake had lowered his phone. A couple of the other guys had moved closer, curious. Marcus studied my face, looking for signs that I was lying or delusional. When was this? A year ago. Before I got sick, understanding flickered across his face, followed by something that might have been discomfort. But it was gone quickly, replaced by skepticism. And you think you're just gonna walk in here and pick up where you left off? No, I said. I think I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way back up. But I'm gonna do it here, whether you like it or not. Marcus was quiet for a moment, his jaw working like he was chewing on something tough. Then he shrugged. Fine, train, but don't expect any special treatment. You can't keep up, you're out. You get hurt because you're too stubborn to know your limits. That's on you. And if you're lying about those numbers, everyone in this gym is going to know you're a fraud. He walked away then, back to his weights, and the normal noise of the gym gradually resumed. But I could still feel people glancing at me, wondering if what I'd said was true, wondering if this skeleton of a man had really once been strong. I turned back to the squat rack, my hands shaking worse than before. 135 was still loaded on the bar. I stepped under it again, set my feet, and descended. This time when I came up, I didn't stop. I did another rep, and another. I did 8 reps total, and by the end my legs were screaming, and I thought I might pass out, but I finished the set. When I racked the bar, I had to lean against it for a moment to catch my breath. My vision was swimming, and I could feel that dangerous exhaustion that the doctors had warned me about, the kind that meant I was pushing too hard, asking too much of a body that was still healing. But I'd done it. I'd stayed. I'd lifted, and I hadn't backed down. Over at the bench press area, Marcus was watching me in the mirror. When our eyes met, he didn't look away. Neither did I. This was just the beginning. I had a month to prove myself. A month to show that strength wasn't just about the body. It was about the will to keep fighting even when everything inside you screamed to quit. I had no idea if my body would ever be what it was. But I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't going to let cancer take the fighter out of me. Not without the fight of my life. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more inspiring tales of resilience and strength.